don't see a lot of programs that are done, at this intensity level, so the therapists were in the home 8 to 10 hours a week. That's a lot of time spent with one client and one family. And the in-home perspective, I don't know of very many programs that are done in the actual setting where families and clients live.
In a clinic setting or in an insurance-based program, you've got limits on things. So you really, in some cases, you really can't address everything that needs to happen. You know, these families had a lot of barriers.
It wasn't as time limited as sessions are now that I'm in private practice. I find myself missing the days when I could spend 2 or 3 hours just really diving in and doing the work. This population has a lot of reason to distrust workers coming in their homes. And having that 2 to 3 hour window multiple times a week allowed you to get past the barrier time and time and time again to actually do good, deeper work with our clients.
We would work with families from anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Everything was goal-oriented, whether it would be giving educational materials, modeling how to do things within the system, whatever system that is, the family system or the DCS system, or just the system of, going and getting children's immunizations. So it really differed from person to person.
We did a lot of looking for jobs online and driving around and applying for jobs. They just didn't know where to go. They didn't have anybody to help them with the transportation, or they were so stressed about all being so overwhelmed that they couldn't think clearly, and they couldn't see the resources that may have already been there.
Our caseloads were really small. There were 2 to 3 caseloads at a time because it was such intensive work. But typically I spent about 4 or 5 hours in the car traveling either myself or with the family in tow, going to whatever they needed to get done.
Sometimes with it being in smaller communities, you have to get creative with how you address some things.
There was no prescriptive goal setting. There was no prescriptive, this is what you must do. It was really based around what the families identified as needs. And I think that helped build a lot of rapport between the in-home therapists and the families, and a lot of trust. And I think when you have that kind of relationship between the provider and the client, you just see a lot more success.
We became 6th member of the family sometimes and had to, maintain professional boundaries at the same time. We're there for meals sometimes and, helping them prep their meals. We're there to play games with them and just to also re-engage what it means to be a family and what it means to have that security.
We're treating the whole family. So a lot of programs we'll see in the behavioral health care space, we're really treating one component. So we do depression or we do trauma, whereas TIES really was holistic in looking at the entire spectrum of family needs. So starting from a very basic sort of case management perspective, looking at the home environment, looking at the community environment, to also addressing specific treatment things and like relapse prevention with the families. And I think when you take that kind of whole person view and you really take the time to be responsive to those kinds of issues, you just see a greater achievement because a lot of those barriers have been removed for families.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that you need, at the very core, those basic needs of food, shelter, and then above that, you need belonging. You need to have a sense of security. You need to be able to know that you're going to go to school and that you're going to come home and mom and dad will be there, and mom and dad won't just physically be there, but they'll be there emotionally and spiritually and in every way that you need as a child to grow up in a healthy, happy life.
The therapists really believed in the Maslow's hierarchy, and you could see that they walked the walk in that regard. And again, just thinking about the family as a whole unit, thinking about the community as being part of that, thinking about the home environment as being part of that, and bringing all of that into the treatment process.